Hey everybody, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. I'm Lauren and we've got another 4-piece French Provincial set to flip. I am so excited about this set for a couple of reasons, and one is that I have an update for you on the vintage Drexel 4-piece set that I did like maybe a month ago, which really wasn't too long to wait for it to sell at full asking price of $19.50 plus we're delivering it for an extra $250 straight to their bedroom. So I'm so stoked that that sold. There's your update. And that is why I am excited to do this piece, or this set, because it's another 4-piece set, which at the end of the day brings a lot of profit. I ended up with $13.75 profit on that vintage Drexel set. And so hopefully we can get that much or even more with this set because we only paid $245 for it. Eamon and I were on a trip to Des Moines and we picked this up at a thrift store. I came around the corner, saw the 4-piece set, and I knew I had to have it. And the price was right too, but this is in relatively good condition. But there are, of course, some scratches and dings and dents and things like that need to be fixed. There is no brand name for this set, so I'm just going in like it's any other regular piece of furniture. They are solid wood, so I'm glad about that. There might be a little bit of veneer here and there, but overall solid wood, heavy, nicely made pieces. Let's get this hardware off. So I always talk about taking the hardware off first thing, because look what's under it. If you just clean with the hardware on it, you would have to basically go back and re-clean everything. So always do that first. I like to start with a clean slate after the hardware, so we'll clean all this goop up once this is all off. I am also gonna take these little fake key hole plates off, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be reattaching these ones in the middle. It feels like there's just a lot going on the fronts of these drawers for the tall dresser, and they're not on any other dresser. So I may go ahead and fill these holes, and I'm gonna keep them just in case, but I think my gut is telling me to go ahead and get rid of them, and I just have like a blank middle there. Hey, now that all that hardware is off, there were a lot of hardware. I'm gonna go ahead and clean. I've got my Lily Moon Paint furniture prep here. This is a cleaner that you don't have to rinse off. So honestly, lately it's been one of my go-tos, especially for like larger sets, because I don't really wanna go back and rinse. So I'm just gonna spray this on and wipe it down. And then as I go, I'm gonna also take out the drawers because I'm gonna clean inside of the pieces as well. So let's do it. I'm also kind of gonna be checking out what's on the inside of the drawers. And as I was taking out the hardware, I kind of saw that there's a lot of different liners in each drawer. So I don't know if it's like old wrapping paper or what, but you can definitely tell it's old because it's yellowing and it's like super vintage paper. So this one's like baby from like a nursery or something. And then I'm gonna label the drawers. I always like to just do it right on the bottom of the drawer. And so I'll do like first drawer of the tall dresser, just so that I know exactly where they go back, because it matters. Sometimes drawers don't fit in all of the places, so labeling is gonna save you a headache in the end. We got 2 different ones in the same drawer, blue and more baby stuff. More paper. Next up, we are going to sand, and there's a couple of different things that we're gonna sand. Well, we're gonna sand everything, but the couple different reasons, I guess I should say. So there's a few areas, especially on the tops of the pieces, that have failing finish, just meaning that some of it is being like chipped off a bit. And so we need to make sure that everything that's potentially gonna chip off gets removed with the sandpaper, or else if we apply primer and paint over the top of that, it's also just going to flake off, you know, as it gets used. So we want to get that taken care of. And then also we want to give some tooth, some grit to the surface of these pieces. They're generally, with furniture, they're coated with like a varnish or a glossy finish, and so the primer and paint is really difficult to adhere to that, but we can change that by utilizing what's called scuff sanding. And usually I do 120 grit, 180 grit, and I just go over the entire surface with the sandpaper with my Surf Prep sander, and that is going to give it some tooth for everything to adhere really nicely. Now, the French Provincial pieces have a lot of curves, and so I'm going to show you here in just a minute how I'm going to tackle the curves without making them flatten out at all with my sander, because it's a flat sander. So stay tuned here in just a minute and I'm gonna show you that. But first we're gonna use 120 grit to grab all of the flat spots, and then we'll move on to the curvy areas. So now that I got these tops, I just went ahead and sanded them all the way down to raw wood, because it took me less than 5 minutes each. So I was like, might as well just keep going. And the tops look pretty good. There's a few areas right here at the corner that have some chipped veneer, but I think I could fix that. And if I wanted to keep the tops like the raw wood look, but stain them, just gotta decide if I wanna do that with the curvy parts as well, or just literally the tops and then paint the rest. I'm still deciding on a color for the actual bodies of the pieces and then potentially the tops. If you know what you would do with this whole set, stop right now, pause the video, comment down below what color do you think that you would paint a full set of French Provincial, because honestly, French Provincial looks good in virtually any color. Like, I've done black, white, green, blue, pink, I don't know, wood, like so many colors. So don't feel like I could go wrong, which is great. Tops are done and they're looking incredible and feeling great too. So like I said, now I've got to tackle all of the curves, and it's not just the curves on the tops, but the drawers are curvy, the legs are curvy, basically everything besides the tops is curvy. So that is where these Pro Foam pads come in handy, because they're gonna really help contour to the curve of the piece without flattening it out. So there's a couple of different ways that you could go about using these attachments. The first way is to actually get the Surf Prep Pro Foam, which is the red sponge pads. So this is a 1/2 inch and it's like less dense, so you can really it can really contour. It's not as hard as this one, where this one's the 10mm and it's a lot more dense, and you can't really crumble it up in your hand as well. So it's gonna contour a little bit less than the 1.5 or the 1/2 inch one. They're both medium grit, which is perfect for getting the finish off. But then there's another option where if you don't maybe have these Pro Foam pads, you can use what comes in the original kit, which are actually the interface pads that can be changed out. And basically all you do with these is, it doesn't have sandpaper on it, it's got the Velcro, but once you attach this to your sander, it now becomes like it has the sponge on it, and then you can change out whatever sandpaper you want on top of that interface pad. So those are the two ways that I really like using the surf prep for really curvy areas. And again, it's not going to flatten out or compromise the look of the curve, which I feel like with French Provincial especially is really important, because that's what French Provincial is all about. This would also be great for like table spindles or chair spindles that are round. And then of course, like the sides and the legs of pieces that are curvy. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this, continue using the 120 grit, and see if we can't get this finish off also. All of that sanding is finished. Honestly, you guys, I spent about 7 hours sanding, and I only sanded the tops to the raw wood, but with all of the curves, it just takes a while to get into the details, the hand sanding. And then of course I had to scuff sand all of the bodies and all 24 drawers. So we're done with the sanding for now, aside for maybe some repairs that I'll do with some Bondo here in just a little bit. But I want to go ahead and cover the tops because I'm gonna be priming pretty soon. So with that being said, I like to use this tape and plastic already kind of connected together, and then I just will cover this. That way none of the primer or paint will get on top of here, and once that's dry, we'll take it off, and that's when I'll do like the stain or the paint wash, whatever I decide. All right, I am going to fill in these holes like I talked about at the beginning. I don't want to put these plates back in the middle of the tall dresser, so I'm just gonna fill them in with some Bondo here. Okay, we've got just a little bit more prep to do before we can prime. There are 24 drawers, and I have decided that I want to go ahead and wrap them all. I'm still gonna try and put them in back inside of the pieces to spray them, but wrapping them just makes sure that everything on like the sides and the insides stays clean, and I want everything to be nice and clean and pristine. So I'm going to be using some painter's tape to tape up the sides here, and then we'll wrap it with the plastic wrap with the tape. It is a little bit of a time-consuming process, I'm not gonna lie, but this is what I feel like is a necessary step if you want super clean lines and you want everything to like really just be nice and have no overspray. I like to cover up the dovetails on the sides so that they're not getting painted on at all or primed. So I like to do that with the painter's tape first, and then I'll take the plastic and wrap the whole rest of the drawer like so. I try to only use the actual green frog tape when 100% necessary. So like for taping the plastic up here, then I'll use a little bit of some cheaper tape like masking tape, because the frog tape can get pretty expensive the more you use. So on things that aren't actually being taped, you could consider using like a masking tape. All right, it's time to prime. You guys, I am going to be 100% honest with you. It has taken me 14 hours to get to this point in time. 14 hours to get through with the prepping. So that includes removing the hardware, cleaning, sanding, and then wrapping everything with the plastic wrap. 14 hours. So now it should be smooth sailing. Not that even anything took like longer than expected. It's just a lot of work with this large of a set. So we are gonna prime now, and to speed up the process a little bit because we need to get back all the time we can, I am gonna be using my Wagner Flexio 5000 here. And so I'm first gonna fill up the fine detail nozzle for the spray gun, and I'm going to be using the bin synthetic. And so if you've been watching some of the previous videos, I have been using this instead of the bin shellac based primer because it's not shellac based, it's water based, and it can go through the sprayer really nicely and clean up with soap and water. But it's supposed to act the same as the bin shellac based primer, and honestly I've used it on 3 or 4 projects now and it has done a really great job. So we're gonna go ahead and strain it through the strainer and get it sprayed on all of the pieces. So once this strains through, I will be testing my spray pattern on a cardboard box over there so that I just make sure that everything is going well, looking well with my flow, and it's nothing spitting or spattering or putting out too much material. And then we'll get to spray on. So no matter what you are using, I always recommend straining it, and then I always recommend testing it on a piece of cardboard or a scrap piece of wood or whatever it may be, so that you're not directly putting that first spray on your piece. That way you're not ruining your piece immediately with too much or too little paint, and you're not wasting material like that if you just go right in and start to spray directly on the piece. I didn't water down this primer at all. It's pretty thin as it goes, and so it should come out of the machine just fine. I have gotten 2 coats of primer everywhere on this set. So that means that I am gonna take a very fine Surf Prep pad and just go around and smooth everything out just by hand because I just wanna do it real quick, and it's just gonna smooth any of the potential bumpiness that the paint creates, or any debris that might have landed on the surface when the paint was wet. But this is just gonna knock it all back. I'm not really looking to get rid of any of the primer, just to smooth everything out. It's finally time to paint, you guys. I am so excited, and the one thing that I haven't chose is the color that I'm gonna be painting this set. So we've got 4 colors here that I have been toying around with and thinking about painting these pieces. Now remember, I'm gonna be doing the top in a wood color, and I'm more leaning toward like a natural color and maybe just do like a paint wash and then seal it up. So I really like the natural color that it is currently. So instead of going darker on top, we're gonna stay light. Now, that kind of, for me, eliminates the darkest one, just because I personally like a darker stain with a darker color. And plus, I've already done Midnight Sky on French Provincial. I added it to the list because I've done it before and I know that it looks really good. I want this set to sell pretty quickly for a pretty decent amount because of all the work that I'm putting into them. So I'm gonna eliminate this one. This one, I also put a poll up on Instagram, and this one was the lowest amount voted on in the first vote. Now the other 3 are Vintage Duck Egg, which is this really pretty blue color. I really like this color. I have used it only one time, and I think it was really early on in my furniture flipping journey. The second one is called French Linen. This is more of like a beige color, but it does have some like purpley, gray-y undertones. So maybe like a grayish. That would be really pretty. It's like a neutral color, and I feel like it would go with a lot of different decors and a lot of different homes. And then the third one is called Weeping Willow, and this one is more of a green color. This one had gotten the most votes in the first poll, but then once I took out the Midnight Sky, these three are pretty much all neck and neck currently in my Instagram poll. So if you're not over there following us on Instagram, I did post a poll, and I like to do that throughout some of my projects just to get you guys interacting with it. So go follow us on Instagram if you're not already. But we've come down to the point where I have to choose a color or else this set is just sitting here. So I am leaning toward the French linen because I do feel like it would lean more and cater toward more people. But I do think that it would be fun to go with the vintage duck egg or the weeping willow as well. Comment down below what color would you paint this set, and I'm gonna choose and we'll get to spraying. Really quick, I just wanted to say that currently in our Instagram poll, it's been up for 3 hours. We've had about maybe 250 people vote, 275 people vote. Weeping Willow, the green one, has 87 votes. Vintage Duck Egg has 81 votes. And French Linen has 110 votes. Now this will fluctuate the longer it stays up, but really the French Linen has been in the lead since the moment I put this poll out. So I think we're going to go ahead and go with the French Linen. I'm gonna play it safe in this one, and I can't wait to see the results, but also to share them with you. First coat is done, and holy cow, it was a lot, but we got it done. It's been another couple of hours of work time, but that's okay. We're moving and grooving, getting things done. And by this time, a lot of the stuff that I did first on the first coat is already dry and basically ready for a second coat. But this one here is the one that I just freshly painted. I think it's looking great. I think that I made the right choice with the color. So again, if you voted over on Instagram, thank you, because I did end up going with the color that was winning at the time, and it's still winning. Painting is complete, so that means that I am going to now work on the tops of the pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the plastics, and then since this is a chalk paint that I used, it will need a top coat, but I'm going to work on the tops and top coat everything at the end, since the tops will need top coats as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and take off these plastic sheets to unveil the tops here. All right, so these are ready for paint washes now. I think what I'm gonna do actually is go ahead and use the French Linen and then just water it down a bunch, and then we'll do a paint wash with that. That way it's really complementary to the bottoms. I'm not 100% sure, but I do want to just test it out on an area and see if I like the look. If not, then I'll do a different color, but it'll be the same the same concept. So I just did a quick test of a couple of other stains. This is the paint wash from the original color that I did, the French linen. This is Reclaimed Wood by Lily Moon Paint, and this is Au Naturel by Dixie Belle. And I'm really thinking that the Reclaimed Wood is too dark. I like the Au Naturel, but I also think that it's maybe a little too on the light side. And so I think I'm gonna go ahead and lean toward my original plan, which was to do the French linen, just watered down paint wash. So I'm gonna sand this back and then we're gonna get to the paint wash on everything. So one of the nightstands didn't take quite as dark as the rest of everything, so I'm just doing a quick second coat here. Okay, we are gonna be top coating with Dixie Belle's clear coat in the satin sheen. So the chalk paint doesn't have a built-in top coat like their silk line. That's why we need to add this layer of protection. Plus, chalk paint is pretty matte, and so I want to shine it up just a tad bit with the satin, and that's gonna give it just a small sheen, nothing too crazy, and it's gonna give it that layer of protection. So of course, we're going to strain it into the sprayer, and we're gonna be able to apply this top coat to the entire pieces, drawers, tops, and bodies of each piece. Everything is top coated, and I'll probably do the tops of everything just one more time, but other than that, we're good to go and get on the hardware. "30 hours later, and we are finished." Of course, that was 30 hours over the course of honestly only about a week. So really not too bad for a 4-piece set. I was thinking about it, and honestly, like if I were to do a set of nightstands or a single dresser, those typically take me anywhere from like 8 to 10 hours. So combine them all, 30 hours, it makes a lot of sense to me. But let's talk about the numbers really quick before we get into the details of the pieces, because let's be honest, the numbers are one of the most fun parts. So I got this set for $245 at a thrift store in Des Moines, Iowa. And then I spent $25 on primer, $50 on paint, $40 on top coat, $40 with the miscellaneous things like all of the plastic wrap that I put around the drawers and the painter's tape, the Bondo, the sandpaper, the cleaning supplies, and all of those miscellaneous items. So we're in at a total of $400. And I want to stress how much of a difference it can make in your end result profit based on the amount of money that you spend up front, whether that being like on the set itself or like the materials that you put into it. Because last time I did a 4-piece set, I spent $500 on the actual set of furniture. So right there, we're already way higher than the amount that I spent in total on this piece or on this set. And then I invested like $300 more into that set. So right there, my starting was a lot higher, but we're only in at 400 for this. So my potential profit right off the bat is going to be significantly higher. So I am going to list this set on Facebook Marketplace just a little bit higher than I listed my previous 4-piece set, because I'm testing my market like I always say. And I think that this set is just so worth it and timeless. It's a neutral colorway, so it's going to fit into a lot of homes. The only thing that's like a little bit different is the style of it, because it's French Provincial. So after all, you have to have like the right person come along for it. So I'm gonna list it at $2,250 and see what happens. I'm willing to wait a few weeks to a couple of months to get this set sold, but I am going to really try and hold out for that right buyer. I might have a little wiggle room in the price, but really not too much, since I've got the space here and I'm okay waiting. Of course, I would love for it to sell within the 3 weeks like the other one did. So if I sell it for the $2,250, that would give me a total profit of $1,850. So that's a pretty great profit. And if you want to break that down and divide it by the 30 hours that I spent working on it, that would equal out to be about $61 an hour. So not too bad, but also just a lot of work went into these pieces. Now that we got the numbers out of the way, I want to know your guys' thoughts about the overall end results of these pieces. I was going back and forth so much on what color I wanted to paint these, but I just decided to go with that neutral color, and I went with my gut, but also went with a lot of you guys who voted over on our Instagram story, and we ended up doing the French linen, and I think it is such a great color. And then we also did the paint wash of the same color on the tops here, which again, I think complements it really well. It's like, it's still French linen, but you can see that wood grain and how much of a lighter color it is. These are some of my favorite pieces. I feel like it's nothing like too out there or crazy cool, but just the transformation from the dark and drab finish of the original French Provincial pieces to this lighter and brighter and airier color. And I think that the Weeping Willow and the Vintage Duck Egg are still two colors that I'm excited to use, and I plan on using here in the very near future. So be sure and get subscribed down below, because more videos are always coming your way. I have linked all of the supplies down below in the description box. So if you're interested in any of the things that I have used in this video, then definitely go and check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back next Thursday with another furniture flip, and I'll see you on the flip side.